Okay, I think it's recording now. All right, so just to back up a little bit, what we've done is created an audio source in the hierarchy by right-clicking over here, then adding an audio source. And once you've done that, you're going to click on it, go over to the inspector to the right, and select whatever audio clip you want to use. Okay, so we've done that, and we've created a scripts folder to put our scripts in. So go to that scripts folder. And what you'll do is within that folder, right click, and you'll do create C# script. And we'll all name this the same thing. So we'll name it audio loudness scale. Audio loudness scale. Okay.
Can you repeat the name of the file?
Yeah, so I'll also select it right now. So created a new C# script and I named it audio loudness scale. Okay, so we're going to add this new script to an object first and just basically choose an object that you would like to respond to the audio. So what am I looking at here? With my camera, I see this cube. I can just select that cube and then drag the new script over to the inspector to the bottom. So that, yeah, that cube has now this new script on it.
Sorry, could you repeat the part of how you add the scripts to the folder? Because I got a little bit lost there.
Yeah, so I just made sure, I mean, you can create this anywhere within your assets down here, but I'm in the scripts folder and just right click down there and then you create a C# script. And then you'll name it right away. So then just name it audio loudness scale. And then once you've done that, you'll select whatever object you want to affect with the music here. Select that object.
Okay.
And then you'll grab the script from the bottom and drag it over to the bottom of the inspector tab on the right. The other way of doing this is you can select your object. So I've selected this folder and you can go to the inspector tab and click add component. And then you can, sometimes you can create a new script from there, but we have an existing script. We kind of did it the other way around. So instead of new script, yeah, I guess that's not the right way to do it then. But that's another way of kind of adding a script to a specific object. But yeah, so I have my cube.
There's an error appearing that says can't add script component audio loudness scale because the script class cannot be found.
Okay. Okay, we can write the script first. So something that happens sometimes is if you don't name it right away. Okay. What we'll do is we'll open the script. So I've got my script selected down here in the bottom, and all I should have to do is double click on it and it'll launch my editor, my code editor. So I have Visual Studio, but this might take a moment to set up for all of you. So if you try double clicking on that script, what is the thing that happens?
The Visual Studio opens up.
Okay. Yeah, if you're having any trouble here, you can figure it out. I will help. But the error that you're getting is related to the top of the script here says public class, and then it has a name. That name has to match the name of the script within Unity. Otherwise, it'll give you that error. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so either change it right here in the script or change the name of it in Unity to make sure that it's the same.
I'm just now opening up Visual Studio and it's asking me like what development settings I want. Do I do C# or general?
Development settings. You're going to do C#, but it probably doesn't matter too much,
Okay.
but C# sounds good. Okay, let's see. I want to open the chat. I hit Alt-H, I think. Alt-H.
Seems Julie is having also a doubt in the chat.
Yeah, let me open this chat by hitting Alt-H.
Yeah, my question was, does does Unity have its own like basically equivalent tool as Visual Studio? Because I think that's what I just opened this up into.
Okay. Yeah, if it looks like the type of thing where you can type in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we want.
It's called Mono Develop Unity.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not necessarily familiar with it. It sounds like the right thing.
Okay, well, I somehow accidentally landed myself in this and it seems like it works. So cool.
It's good, yeah. Yeah, so what should happen is we'll type things in here. It'll kind of be automatically compiling and saving it. So, okay, let's get started. So we all have our scripts open. And okay. What we're gonna do, we'll just start from scratch. So between these two brackets, and I mean this bracket right here underneath public class, and this bracket at the very, very bottom, we're just gonna delete everything in between there. So we don't have anything other than the name at the top that says public class, audio loudness scale, mono behavior. And then the things above that are referencing other terms that the script will be able to reference and make sense of, and so it's important to leave that there as well. What we're going to do is we're going to start out by creating some variables. So you can hit tab once just to kind of indent all of these variables, and we'll start by adding a public audio source, and then name it audio source. And you can kind of see if you're using Visual Studio, it gives things like different colors. It gives the text different colors. So the audio source that we typed first, it's this light blue color because it's referencing something that Unity that is already existing within the Unity system of code and references there. And then we're giving it our own name. So the second audio source, you could actually name it anything you want. You'll just have to know what that name is and reference it.
Mine is not turning blue.
Yeah, mine neither.
I wonder if that's a setting within Visual Studio. Okay, so basically if we look at the top here, does it say attached to Unity with the check mark? And we probably do want that. So maybe check to see if that's there.
It's not.
And then it's not.
Mine is not attached to Unity.
Okay, does it give you an option to do that? Maybe you could select it, or does it not even say that at all?
Well, it appears like an option to attach to processes that are going on my computer right now. So I can try to find Unity here.
Yeah, there's like multiple Unities. There's
Interesting.
one with the title audio visual sample scene, so I'm guessing that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to attach to that.
Okay. Yeah, give it a try, and then maybe there's something also within the settings of Visual Studio, like how one of you was saying, should I select C# or general? Yeah, C# sounds good for now, but maybe it's one of these settings that has to be adjusted. But we don't need to sweat it.
If you go like view, there might be a syntax option.
Oh, that's true.
I'm not actually using Visual Studio, or I would tell you.
Yeah, it's basically whatever you like to write code in. And I like the different colors. I find them helpful, and it's definitely good to have it set up in the correct way. Okay, so we'll have to come back to that if it seems like something's not working, and obviously it's better to have it set up in the way that makes the code easier to kind of understand and modify. But we'll just kind of try to continue writing for the moment and then kind of come back to that in a little bit.
Wait, I have one more question.
Mhm.
For the first audio source, when I started typing out audio, it pulled down like the loudness scale one that we made.
Oh,
So-
sure.
So is that like something to attach it to? Because it's another class.
So, okay, let's actually just pause our writing of the code and go back to Unity. So if we do that, and then we click on that object that we did add the script to, and then we go down to the script called Audio Loudness Scale. Okay, I don't yet see. Okay, what I'll do is I'll actually go back here real quick to Visual Studio, and I'm just saving it. Okay. And this is going to tell me what I want to hear. Let's not have this. Okay, so now that I've saved it and I go back to Unity, I can actually see this audio source that I wrote in there. And because I wrote the word public, that's why I'm able to see it in Unity. If I were to write private instead of public, it's not in Unity, it's just in the script.
Yeah, it's just that I'm not able to add the script to any object.
Oh, okay, that's the
So-
problem that you're running into. Sometimes I find with Unity, when you're dragging something into the inspector tab, it matters like exactly where in the inspector tab you're trying to drop it. So if you're trying to drop it up here, or is it still giving you that error that's like, I can't find the class.
Yes,
Audio
that's
loudness
it.
scale. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you made sure that you have the same name on the script within Unity, like here down in the assets?
Yes.
And also, okay, really?
Yeah, I don't know why it's appearing that it can't add script component audio loudness scale because the script class cannot be found.
Okay, let's try it another way and just as a crazy idea. So click on the object that you want to add the script to, and then just go down to the bottom of the inspector tab and add component. And we're going to click new script for you. So you'll click new script, and then you'll give your script a name. And let's just give it a different name this time. Audio LS. And then that's that. You've named it, and you've created this. I'm not seeing what I just created. Let me try this again.
Now it's working.
Now it's working. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so going back to Visual Studio, we've added this public audio source. Then we will go down to the next line with enter, and then create a public float and call that update stuff. We'll set it equal to 0.1 f semicolon. So you'll notice that we're putting a semicolon after we've written out all of these variables at the end of the line. I'll explain this a little bit more in a second, but we'll go to the next line first by hitting enter. We'll create another variable, and it will also be public int int, and then we'll call it simple data length. And we'll set that equal to 1024. and then semicolon. So basically, the variable called float is going to be a number. That's the data that that variable will be. And int, it'll also be a number. The difference between float and int is that float is a number that allows for decimal point precision, and int is no decimal point, just a number like 1024 like we have here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and create a bunch more variables, about 7. So this is all at the top. So I'm hitting the space bar a couple of times just to kind of separate things, but you don't really need to do that. Just kind of for visual understandability, I'm doing that. Private float is what I'm creating here, a new variable. And I'll call this current update. Set that equal to 0f. And then semicolon. And then I'll create a couple more variables. So I'll create a public float, another public float, and call it clip loudness, semicolon. That's not set to anything. And that means that it will default set it to 0.
Could you increase your font size a little bit?
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
I think so. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. Thanks.
that's good. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. And then I'm going to create another private float underneath that. A private float. Oh, this is an array of floats, and we know that by typing in private float and then a square bracket. It's beginning square bracket, end square bracket. Space, and then call it clip, sample data, semicolon. Okay. So a couple or a handful more to go. We're going to add a public game object. Audio object. Semicolon. We're going to add a public float. Call it size factor. Set it equal to 1 as a default. Semicolon.
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
What does the F refer to?
You know, I just noticed that I wasn't consistent with my Fs. You don't actually need to have it there, I guess, but it's sort of to indicate a float instead of an int. But I think I could delete these Fs over here and it would actually just be the same. Oh, nope. So because it's 0.1, it does actually want you to put the F in there.
Oh, interesting.
So if it's not a decimal point number, I guess it's okay not to have the F.
Noted. Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, if I, for example, wanted to do this, I could change the 1 to a 1.0 F, and it's, yeah, same thing. So create 2 more public floats. Public float, and I'm going to name it min size, like minimum size, set it equal to 0, semicolon. And finally, create a public float, call it max size, set it equal to 500, semicolon. Okay, we'll take a pause. right. What I've done is I've just saved my script. I did Control S. And if you go back to Unity now, after you've saved it, you should see a lot of these public variables have been added over in the inspector window. So we've got our update step, our sample data length, our clip loudness, our size factor, min size and max size. And a lot of these are meant to be adjusted down the line. We won't do that yet, but with the exception of sample data length, which is pretty specific to audio data that we're using, we can adjust these numbers just
So-
by like.
I'm not sure what I did wrong here, but I saved it and then I went back to the object. Still, I can only see audio source, update step, and sample data length. And those are the only variables that I'm seeing.
Okay.
I didn't see any.
You're not seeing any? Okay. So if you go to Visual Studio and you try to save it, I'm just doing Control S. Does it give you any messages at the bottom under output?
Under output?
So
I don't
hopefully
see output.
you
Oh,
don't
wait,
see output.
No.
Okay, so maybe at the window. So you go to the top window.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. It's. Do I go to the bottom and make sure? How do you know that?
What we're looking for is any potential errors that'll be coming up. And if I did something weird, like let's say I deleted the semicolon and I tried to save it, I would hopefully get an error. What I have to do is actually go down to the bottom. This is the output window, and there's another little tab that says error list. And I clicked on that and it told me, hey, we expected you to put a semicolon here. We're getting an error.
I don't see the
just
error
for
list.
reference, to open up the output, that output pane, it's under the view menu. It's toward the bottom of the view
Good.
menu.
Yeah, I got the output, but it's like really long.
I think that part of the issue might also be that a number of us don't have our Visual Studio attached to Unity right now. So I think that might be part of the disconnect also, that it's not the,
I attached it
even
to the file
identifying that it's supposed to be doing a C# project to check syntax.
I'm trying to think of what the remedy is. It might be that we need to, in Unity, we might need to do the same thing that, I forget which one of you was doing this, but go down to the bottom of the inspector tab and then add component and then new script. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but we could try that, and you would just add a new script. You'd name it something slightly different. So audio, maybe LS. And then once you've done that, okay, and then once you've done that, you should be able to then double click on it, this new script in the bottom of your inspector tab. Nope, wait. Instead of double clicking on it, click these three little dots and then click edit script. And then it should open a text editor such as Visual Studio, and it should definitely be linked to Unity. But if it's not, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I believe that's what I ended up using. And it works for me. The only error I'm having is it's not assigned a value, or is assigned, but its value is never used. I don't know if that.
Oh, that's the error message you're getting?
Yeah, once I'm back in Unity for the object itself, yeah.
Okay, so that's something that comes up as a script error sometimes, like, oh, you've created this variable, but you're not using it, and that's a problem. So where are you seeing that in Unity? Just curious. Is the error message at the bottom?
Yeah, it's like, it says there's a tab called console, and in the console tab, it tells me that.
Yeah, so it's very helpful, this console tab. It will tell you what the source of the error is. Okay, so we're all having kind of slightly different problems. This is just the nature of trying to write code that is compiling correctly and doesn't have errors that are getting in the way of its usability ultimately. But okay, so let's make sure, let's just double check the way everything has been written out and make sure that it is the way that it should be. So for example, I deleted the semicolon. I'm going to need to have that in there. And then your error is this variable has been referenced but is never used. So yeah, make sure that the only thing you have in the script is this sort of public class area with the curly bracket here and then the curly bracket here at the bottom. And yeah, just make sure you don't have like other code like private void update or private void awake. We can add those things, but it's important that we just have this. And yeah, it's always a matter of double checking to see that you've, added your semicolon and addressed any errors that might be popping up. So is anyone else having any issues?
Yeah, I'm still having issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have the values never used warning. But is that really an issue though?
It's something that I've experienced a lot as an error, and I don't know that it always gets in the way of the script working. I wish I could answer that in a sort of finalized way, but if you're able to like kind of, so here's the ultimate test, right? So if you go back to Unity and you press play, will it play? Because if there's an error in your script that is preventing your scene from working, you won't be able to play your scene. And okay, so for example, mine just said all compiler errors need to be fixed before you can play your scene. So yeah, we will need to address that. It is something I've experienced before. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I changed that semicolon, I added it again, and now I need to save the script again.
Mine was still able to play. I had the
Okay.
warning, but it was able to play.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was able to play, but nothing besides the music playing happened.
Okay, so you heard the music and it did play.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That's
I'm
what we
still
want.
getting the my music isn't playing either.
Okay.
Getting error CS1002 semicolon expected. So does that mean I need a semicolon?
Yeah, that's actually what it's telling you.
Wait, hold on.
You are correct.
On after every line?
After every variable that we've written out, which yeah, we've separated those one per line. And let me just pull up Visual Studio again so you can reference that.
Okay, yeah, let me see that. One. Not saying that I need a comma.
Oh, comma.
Yeah.
Okay, does it tell you where, like the line that you need the comma?
Oh, wait. 8 and 29.
We might also do a thing where one of you shares your screen.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and I
don't even have it at line 29.
Oh, okay. So in Visual Studio or whatever you're using, are there any other scripts that are open other than the one you're working on?
Oh yeah, maybe the one I was working on before.
Okay.
And I deleted, I removed that component off my object.
Huh. If it's not assigned, if the script is not assigned to any object, it should be okay. Like even if you have a broken script in your Unity folder, but it's not assigned to an object, it should not prevent you from playing your scene. But if it is assigned to an object, it's going to cause an issue. So like going back to Unity, just gauging where everyone's at. Are you able to, are you able to see your variables?
So what I realized was so I would like I did the play test and it did play and the music was playing, but after that the script kind of disappears from the object, so I had to like drag it to the object again and it will still work, but I don't know
okay. Okay, I don't know exactly how to explain that. That sounds really mysterious and spooky.
That happened to me the first time, but after you add an audio source to the script, it keeps assigned to the object.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like an essential part of this whole thing is number one, making sure that your script is attached to the object. So I'll just make sure that mine is because I don't see it. Okay, so I'm adding the script. Yeah, dragging scripts over from the assets window to the inspector window is a little troublesome. I find it troublesome, like you'll get a blue line whenever you can put it in there, but you'll get the circle with the cross through it whenever it's not letting you. And it's just a little tricky. But anyway, so I've got my script attached to my cube again, and I can see these public variables, which is very important. And yes, one of these variables is the audio source, and we do need to choose the specific audio source that we added. So yes. So what you do is in the inspector window, you click that circle again, and then you select your audio source. And another important thing is that we will select our game object, which I guess you could kind of write it into the code to automatically select the object that you've already put the script onto. But in this case, I'm just going to make sure that I select my cube as my audio object here in the variable of the script here.
I'm only getting the script name when in my pull down menu in the inspector tab.
You're only getting the main.
Yeah, like it's just like linking to the script that I've been editing. It doesn't show any audio.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I noticed because I was having a similar issue on my system. What seemed to help was double checking to see if I had multiple copies of the code editor running. Because whenever I double clicked on the .cs file to open it, it's Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, Isidro is saying that it might mean you have two of the same named file. Okay, we're getting some back and forth in the chat here. Okay, and then what you're saying, I'm sorry, could you repeat what's happening with yours?
I'm just really lost in the workflow of it because I created a new script and I assigned it to my object, but I don't know how to put in my audio to that object.
Yeah, okay. So the thing that links it is that, so I've got my object, which is this cube. And I've got the script on here, audio loudness scale. And what I do is I go to the audio source variable.
Yeah, like that menu isn't coming for me. It just says script.
Huh, okay, so it doesn't say assets and then scene. Something's going on. So that's extremely not helpful. There is another way around this, which is just to go to your audio source in the hierarchy, and you're gonna drag that over. Whoop, nope. Oh, it didn't work. I selected my cube again. Let's see if I can do this. Just quickly click and drag that audio source and drop it into that part of the script, into that variable. And yeah, it's like a little tricky to do it that way, but it is possible. I don't know why it's not showing you the menu.
Yeah, I don't even have like a place to drop it in.
Oh, okay. I think I would ask you to share your screen real quick. I'm gonna stop the share of mine.
Oh, you have to enable it?
Yeah, let me do that. So.
Also, I want to quickly say I was, having the script disappearing. I eventually just quitted Unity and joined again, and now it works.
That's what I was thinking about doing.
Just the power off, power on.
Yeah. Start over.
Yeah, that's
Here, I'll share my
worked.
screen, and if that doesn't happen, then that doesn't work.
Yeah, let me see where you're at. So if are you able? Okay. Okay, so yes, I see this script, and when you go to that script in the inspector tab and you click on the three little dots to the right, and then you click edit script. Okay, I'm looking at this, and honestly, this all looks good to me. I'm checking it. Okay, did you save it? Did you do like a Control S? Okay. Okay. And then if you go back to Unity, do you see anything change? No. That's frustrating. Okay. What's going on? I think the problem is it's not linking correctly, but what do we need to do here? Let me try to do some cursory Google search.
Can you go back to Visual Studio real quick?
Yeah.
And then can you go under debug on the top tabs under project debug? Okay, so I noticed that mine is attached to Unity, and under debug, I have a attached to Unity debugger. So I get the feeling that there's something you're not attached to Unity in Visual Studio, so nothing's kind of calling back and forth. So I think, what was the way we had to get it? If you go to extensions, maybe, manage extensions, and then under search, just type in Unity. And then allows creating mods for Unity games using Visual. Click download. So you'll have to open and close that.
So open or close this?
Maybe go back up to debug and see if the Unity, yeah, so I don't know, you might have to open it and close it again to get back to it, but it doesn't seem like your Visual Studio is connected to Unity.
Okay, let's try closing it. Do I want to stop debugging?
Oh, okay.
And we'll wait, have a sandwich, enjoy the beautiful weather.
Yeah, my Visual Studio interface looks different from all of yours.
Huh.
When's the last time you updated Visual Studio?
I only downloaded it last week and I haven't updated it. That could be why.
Yeah, that Manage Extensions tab is definitely a helpful place to be looking. So if I go to my Manage Extensions tab and I look at the category that says Installed, I do see the one that says Visual Studio 2019 Tools for Unity. And that is there. It should be installed by default. However, maybe something was different.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's weird that this isn't by default, but I think, well, Unity just updated to, but also if it looks like, you know, if we didn't like kind of choose the pathway for Visual Studio to game develop with Unity, then that might have thrown it off a bit. So we have to update a few extensions. But I agree, it's weird that it isn't there by default.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so here's another thing. We can configure Unity to use Visual Studio. So I just found some instructions on that. And I can start to share my screen if that's helpful for anyone.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so let me ask Akshata, you could maybe stop sharing and then I'll start sharing mine. Okay. So let's do that. And then I'm going to go into Unity. Okay, so these instructions are telling me to go to the Preferences menu. I think that's Edit and then Preferences. Okay. Select the External Tools tab. Okay. And then there's an External Script Editor drop down. It's very helpful. So what you'll do is select Visual Studio. 2019 is what I have, but maybe a different version of Visual Studio. And then you can also click Browse to add a different code editor, but hopefully it's there for you to choose. And then once you've done that, that should be it.
With Visual Studio, is it even coming up?
Okay, so in that case, if it's not in this little menu, this drop-down menu, then maybe you would click Browse, and you'd have to find your application file. So I would go to Program Files, and it's down here somewhere, I think. Whoa. Where are you? Sometimes it's so frustrating to find things on a Windows computer. It's here somewhere.
It might be under App Data Local, under the user folder. Or,
oh, yeah. No, that's actually a good point. Yeah, it's under Program Data, Microsoft, and then Windows, and then. All right. Program Data. Gotcha. Microsoft. Okay. What else did it say? Windows, Start Menu, Programs. So this is where my Visual Studio is living. Oh. Yep. Maybe. Yeah, it's right here. So that's what, yeah, I would select this. Okay. Has anyone kind of reached any success with this
Wait,
method?
can you pull up the your location of Visual Studio? Because I think mine is in the same spot. But
Sure. I went to program data, this semi-hidden folder, and then it was Microsoft, and then it was Windows, start menu, programs. Yeah. That's the shortcut, so maybe that's not what I want.
that's only a shortcut.
Oh. All right, where's my actual thing?
Menu.
Users. Okay, go back here. Users. Did you say it might be an app data, Jesse? Roaming
I just found it.
Yeah.
So what I did, if you go to the search search icon in your start menu, you can type in Visual Studio, and underneath of where it says apps, you can click on that little caret arrow next to Visual Studio Code. Up a little bit. Under apps, second heading. So it says Visual Studio Code. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Open file location. That just gives you the shortcut. But if you right click on the start menu shortcut, basically everything that shows up in open file location is just the stuff that it's how Windows organizes all of the links that it puts in the start menu. So that's not the application itself, it's another shortcut. So if you right click on that,
okay,
that file, and then open file location,
good. Thank you.
And if you just, I think to put that in, you can right click on it, the application, right click on the application. And then copy, because what we can do is paste the address or the location. Hi there. Whenever you go to browse, just paste that in.
Yeah.
And yep. Then you should just click open, and it will.
I don't know. Let's try that again.
Maybe. It might be because of the quotes. You may have to delete those in order to. Alternatively, maybe just paste it in, but then remove the .exe. So paste in again, and then delete all the way up to the folder for Microsoft VS Code. Yeah, and then if you there you go. Now you can. Yeah.
Wow, that took a lot. Thank you, Jesse. That was really helpful.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't have that when I pulled up my start menu.
Okay, so you are not sure.
If whenever you installed Visual Studio, it may have given you the option to include it in your start menu. You can either click on the start menu and or in these that search bar and just see if anything comes up for Visual Studio. If you happen to have a shortcut that's pinned to your start menu, you could look at that as well.
Yeah, I'm not finding it, but I'm pretty sure I downloaded everything that was code related.
Yeah, it's really weird because what Rachel's showing here, it's showing up in her user's app data local folder, which you can see in the address bar at the top of the Finder window. but mine is actually in a different location entirely. I had mine's installed to program files, and the shortcut that I found whenever I followed the shortcut to its source, it pointed me in a different place. So it's just I think it might just be because I didn't specifically install Microsoft VS Code, and I also installed it directly from their website instead of from the Microsoft Store, because I think that anything you download from Microsoft Store is saved in app data local.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It treats it more like an app on a phone, like it's something that's tied to your user account or something.
Hmm. So I guess the gist of this is that there are some people right now who are just not able to see the updated stuff happening in the inspector tab. Like they're working on their script, but it's not fully linked to Unity, so that's causing some issues. Yeah, I didn't expect this necessarily, but if we can move past this hurdle, that would be great. But yeah, you can try with a different text editor, I believe. So yeah, kind of going back to that Unity preferences tab and clicking on external tools and then selecting an external script editor. I mean, theoretically, you can choose a text editor. Or, you know, Julie was saying that something kind of automatically came up that had a different name. And yeah, it would probably be a problem if there were no external script editor selected here. Like you got to choose something so Unity knows what to link up here. But I guess I could like use a text editor.
Are you looking for Notepad? Notepad?
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Notepad is in the Windows System32 directory.
Okay.
On your C drive.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to do this right now, but if somebody else were to do that, it might be the working solution for them.
Should I just uninstall Visual Studio?
I don't know if that's necessary, but I guess what is necessary is choosing a particular external script editor within the Unity preferences. So for anyone who needs to do that right now, like let's just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that solved my problems that I was having with linking Unity with Visual Studio.
Oh, good.
But what solved it? Oh, just selecting.
Adding external tools. It started recognizing the elements from Unity.
So yeah, for anyone who's having particular trouble with this right now, like Akshata, if you wanted to share your screen and maybe I can help guide you through it real quick.
I'm sure if you don't mind.
Yeah. Let me stop sharing. Okay.
One thing that might help, because I just whenever I was trying to join the session last week, I only installed like the bare minimum for Visual Studio, and it looks like whenever I tried opening Visual Studio again just now by double clicking on the C# source file within within Unity, it opened up an installer window that was requesting to install the .NET desktop development environment so that it will allow you to build C# applications. So the .NET frameworks might not be installed.
You mean in Visual Studio?
No, I just, yeah, correct, in Visual
Yeah.
Studio. So if you did like a minimal installation of Visual Studio, that you may be missing the .NET desktop development environment. I'm not sure why this came up whenever I tried to open it just now. I guess it knew that it needed to do that in order to connect to Unity. So it's just offering to install it right away. But I'm trying installing it right now to see how that works out, and I will report back with my findings in a little bit.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's the
Thank you.
trickiest part of doing this is that you know, Rue's got all of the development environment already set up, and that's like the you know, one of the trickiest parts is once you have the environment set up and all of your packages and dependencies installed, then it's just a matter of, you know, creating, but sometimes it's just this setup. So it's still going for me, so I'll check back once I have the .NET installed.
Yeah, Akshata, you're on a Windows computer, right? Yeah, I
Mhm.
see that. Okay. And you have been using Visual Studio thus far? Yeah, you got it open at the bottom. I think I saw that. Okay, so, and whenever you tried to type in your like Windows search bar for Visual Studio, okay, and then
It says web developer. Got it.
so right click on the Visual Studio 2019 that you see. It's like a purple, not the file folder, but the app underneath it. So open file location. Okay, and then that's a shortcut. So right click on that shortcut down there and then open file location at the top. Okay, so that should be what you want to open up in your Unity preferences. So. Yeah, try going there. Okay.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah, try to select that. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't looking encouraging because this is kind of where I was just a few minutes ago. My application was also called devenv.exe. So now that you've got that linked into your external tools, I think you are done inside of the preferences pane.
So
you
you
don't
should
need
be
to worry
able to.
about checking anything else here. The editor
Yeah.
attaching is checked down below in the sort of underneath the button for regenerate project files. That's probably the only other thing that it looks like it needs to be checked. So you can close that window out. And if you close the Visual Studio window and then click on your reopen the script file the next time that it loads Visual Studio, I think because it is linked now, it will know if it needs to install .NET. And if that winds up being the case, then you just have to sit through letting those packages install. So now you can close out of preferences. I also might just be dropping frames like crazy since I'm downloading a gig plus. Yeah, that's yeah, target framework is not in. Yeah, so download the targeting package and that should get you going.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, you'll have to go back to that window that just popped up under, and then I'm not sure which version of .NET you would want here, but probably I would say x64 SDK, the top line for .NET 5.0.
And then
it's weird that it popped up this way because mine used like the installation wizard thing from Visual Studio, but yeah, I would go with the x64 SDK since we are compiling C# for Unity here. And then once that downloads, just run through that installer, I guess.
Hey, Lenora, are you still running into the same issue? You say you're using BB Edit.
So I reattached it, or I figured out how to attach it to Visual Studio, and I have the Unity package, but not the .NET one. I'm on a Mac also, so I'm a little extra lost because I can't follow along. So I'm trying to figure out how maybe I can add that .NET extension.
Lessons learned. Yeah, I guess Visual Studio can sometimes come with a set of issues. If it's set up right, it's great, but it does seem like it's tricky with these extra things that have to be installed. So
I'm on a Mac and I had brackets already downloaded and it defaulted to brackets and it works fine.
yeah,
And that's a free download that you can easy to download and install.
good. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad that the thing I recommended is causing so many issues, but yeah, if there's alternatives and it's easy to download, then maybe give that a try.
The Sublime Text works with
doing the
Visual
same
Studio as
thing.
well.
It's doing the same thing. Okay. Yeah, and Sublime is another code editor application that works fine for a lot of people. So it doesn't have to be Visual Studio. I'm definitely sorry that we've, wasted time to this end, but it's worth it to get something set up to be working fluidly with Unity.
So would I have to start my script over, or can I still edit it? Okay, yeah.
I was letting you open the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
All right, but I still don't see anything.
Okay, so you've gone to edit script and you've got it open there and you've saved it. It says the associated script cannot be loaded. Please fix any compile errors and assign a valid script. So if you're having compile errors, those will show up in the console in Unity. So
You may also want to press the play button just to sort of start
it's
rebuilding it. Oh, okay, and it's still saying that you have those errors. So
does that mean we have to...
Object is null. Huh,
You might have to set it equal to 0.
Oh, it looks like it's still pointing to a different script file. You have audio loudness scale.cs, whereas in the inspector you are pointing to audio ls. So if you click on that, the audio ls over in the inspector, double click on right there. Oh, okay, so that opens it up. close that window and then go back to that same pane and click on the little circle button at the right side of where it says Audio LS in the inspector under script. And yeah, now if you point it back to audio loudness scale, I think that will, because what I'm seeing is that it's throwing errors based on syntax errors from that CS file. I don't know if you might just, if you've been keeping all your code up to date with the tutorial here in audiols.cs, then maybe just go into your hierarchy or into your project folder and delete audio loudness scale so that it can't throw errors. So under scripts, yeah. I'm just kind of taking a wild guess here, but
oh yeah,
have audio LS. Hey, it looks like the audio LS script
so
is
weird.
now updating. It says that the object is null because you have not pointed it to an audio source or an object in the yeah. So now you can do that and point to some sort of object for a target with the other selection tool under audio object. So a little bit further down in the inspector.
So I think, okay, that's great.
Yeah, that's
so yeah, we haven't finished writing the script yet. I'm actually trying to figure out if I can. So I just copy and pasted like the next thing that I would have you write into the chat. I don't know if it helps, it might. So if you can just copy this private void awake and then everything curly brackets and then the ending curly brackets and copy and paste that. I'll share my screen. I'll start doing that again.
It may not copy over the white space correctly for like tabs and stuff.
Yeah, let me see.
Does everyone still have access to the text files that I uploaded at the beginning of the chat?
You know what, Jesse? I just tried it and it copied and pasted the indentations and the spacing correctly.
Okay, cool. Okay, then then just go through that. That'll be easier then.
Yeah, it's working.
So I'm gonna, just go ahead and add that. I'll start sharing my screen again.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, we'll just hastily add the rest of the code so we can see some results here. So I'm copying from the code I have already written before. That is the next thing to add. So we'll have the private void awake, curly brackets, line, ending curly brackets, and then underneath that, also indented private void update.
Can you scroll up for a second too?
Oh yeah.
So just trying to figure out from the last one. Okay, just a couple lines and add private void awake.
And I will also just say that all of this is contained within this this ending curly bracket right here should be right at the bottom. It's the one that is closest to the edge.
So the stuff you just posted in the chat,
yes,
you're missing, you didn't select the last closing bracket from
okay.
update.
Yes. Okay, let's try this again. Copy. Try this one instead. Oh, might have messed up the indentations, but hopefully not. See what happens. And I'll just zoom out a little bit. 140. So you can kind of see we're going into detail-oriented checking of where the curly brackets are, and indentations are helpful just in keeping things organized. So make sure you have your variables, and then you have your private void awake function with the clip sample data line. And then under update, a whole bunch of stuff happens. And I would like to also take this opportunity to tell you about the Unity scripting API that's online. So basically, if you're going to check out some of these different names, like time.delta time, for example, what is that? If we go to the Unity scripting API, it's like the manual of Unity scripting references. So in Google, just type Unity scripting API, and then we can go there, Unity documentation, and we can look up time.delta time. I search for it, and I found it, time.delta time. And it tells you that this is a public float value. We're calling it delta time. It's also something that Unity is.
Sorry, how can I get there in that on that page? I got a little bit lost. I need to go to that website.
Yeah, basically this is something that's available at docs.unity3d.com/script reference, but you can just type into Google Unity scripting API. And then you can just type, for example, Unity scripting API time.delta time. And it'll take you to that page. And it'll tell you about what this means. There's just a whole wealth of information on here as far as, what parts of an object can I affect with code? Can I affect rotation, scale, position, and how do I reference that in code? And you'll find it all in the scripting API, which is right here. Okay. Oh, we're getting an error. Dana says cannot convert from Unity engine.audio source to int. Okay. Let's do a share screen. Okay, it's saying line 34, 45. So I will stop sharing so I can look at this error. Dana, if you are able to share your screen, I'll take a look at what might be going on. Okay. Okay, so I see, I'm gonna bring up my own stuff, double check it. Okay. Okay. Looks like the same. 34, okay. 45. So when you go to line 45 where that ending curly bracket exists, okay, that does seem like it's in line with the other curly bracket underneath private void updates. So that looks like it should be fine. And then it says line 34, clip loudness equals 0f. But then the error that it says you're getting is cannot convert from Unity engine.audio source to int. So sometimes that's like you set this equal to this, but that doesn't work because of the way the data cannot relate to each other like that. So where do we have Unity engine.audio source? We have that at the top, right? We have our audio source. And then I guess at the bottom, one of the ints, we only have one int, which is sample data length. So sample data length in our code. Okay, we can find that in the private void update area. So what's happening with sample data length? We've got, okay, club loudness. And I'm looking at your code again. Oh, we can try something, but I don't think this is the issue. I'm feeling a bit stuck, but you have what down here in the private void updater, you have everything copied directly from, and then it's still giving you the error that says 34,45.
Yeah, yeah, and I copied. When I first got there, I went and actually copied everything from the text and copied it over just to make sure I had it right, and it still, I don't know what's happening.
So you've saved this, and then in Unity, have you made sure to assign your audio source, and you've made sure to assign your game object? We can go over that again.
Yeah, I may need to go over it again. I'll stop sharing and try it and see if other people are figuring it out.
Okay, so I will start sharing my screen and just explain what I mean. So yeah, in Unity, my cube, and I've got my script, audio loudness scale, and I've made sure to add my audio source right here. That's important. And that's in the public variable of the script. And then I've also made sure to add my audio object, and I've assigned to the cube just the very same object. So definitely make sure to do those things. And then, save your Unity project as you're going along. And you can try playing it. Theoretically, once you've got all of this code written, which I've copied and pasted everything that's within the script that you need, and once you have no more compile errors, you should be able to press play and start to hear the music and start to see. Oh, so my cube is not moving. So something's wrong with my script because I haven't added. Okay, I have this other script, so this should work. With this other script, I haven't selected that audio source, so I'll just see if this works. Oh, this is a different script. Okay. I'll just do the same thing that you're all doing. By adding the private void link and private void update. Yeah, private void awake twice, so I'll get rid of that. Okay, I'll save it. And then hopefully no compile errors. Okay. I should be able to play.
Whenever I add my audio object, it keeps going back to none.
Oh, really? Audio object, and it keeps like just deleting it, and then what does it say?
And then it says the same error that you probably need to assign the audio object variable to the script. So weird.
That is weird. I'm gonna check on that in a second. Basically, I'm just demonstrating here. So I've got my code the way that I've shown you in the script, and then I press play because I don't have any compilers. I can play it. Okay, and now you can see that the cube is changing its size, and it's doing that in response to the sort of loudness and amplification of the music and sort of examining the data of the audio. This is all kind of happening under the scene with the way that Unity is referencing things like audio sample data and other.
Ru, so I see that you have 2 different scripts there. So do we need both of them for that?
No, you don't. I'm sorry. I basically have made this a little bit more confusing. We don't need to pay attention to this one that I've hidden. This one right here, audio loudness scale, that's the one that matters right now. But yeah, let me address some of this weirdness that's happening with assigning an audio source and then it forgets the audio source. I don't know why that's happening, but maybe we can figure it out. I'll stop sharing. And then, Akshata, if you want to share and then show me what's going on, maybe I can help you figure this out.
When it happens to me, if I save it and then close the program and open it up again, it's usually there.
Okay. So yeah, definitely be sure to save your Unity scene.
I think it's somehow linked now. I don't know how.
Okay.
But I was saving it, which is weird.
Yeah. Another thing I'll add is just that in Unity, you'll have one project and you can have many scenes within that project. So right now we have one scene and you'll just be saving that scene. You can create other scenes and you can kind of transition from one scene to another and stuff like that. So be sure you save both your scene and your project. I think if you save your project, it probably also saves your scene.
Yeah, sorry, Ru. I'm having a problem. My console says that there's an error with argument 2 cannot convert Unity engine audio source to int.
Yeah, okay, you're getting the, looks like the same error that Dana was getting.
Yeah. Don't know how to solve it.
Yeah, it's like if you're using the same code, yeah, where's the confusion happening, I wonder? Okay, I'll start sharing my screen. Just
spitballing here, could it be that the clip sample data is an array of floats that is classed as private instead of public? I don't know if that would make a difference in the way that that it would in the way that returns.
so, Zhao, you definitely have. You know what? Show me your script if you want. Like, share your screen.
Yes, of course, of course.
Yeah, I'll just take a look. I might have to make the percentage of the text size bigger. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I see your audio source, clip sample data. Clip sample data is set to a new float. Sample data length. Okay. We can.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm also wondering if we look up in the API what the function for .get audio source.clip.get data.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's returning whenever I hover over it in my editor, the tooltip that shows up says that it returns a Boolean. So I guess that's if it's not able to load the audio data, then it allows it to return false or something, so that you know that it's not working. So so that's just like an error handling measure. So that function, I don't know if you have to, accept that but it takes an array, a float array, and then an integer for offset samples. So audio source is actually, oh, that's okay. That's it. The second parameter for get data should be an integer. It says that the default variable name is offset samples. So audio source, I think, is the wrong variable to be passing into that function call.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I just don't know what
So
do we even have an int? Oh, sample data length. I don't think we have an integer for the offset position within the file, but I'm also not sure what the logic is for like how it iterates through all of the sample data.
Yeah.
Is it update step maybe? Because I don't think we even. Yeah, I don't think we actually update step is a float, but I think it actually is going through by sample, and the samples are declared as integers.
Yeah, no, that's definitely correct. Yeah, within the audio source dot, you went to the Unity scripting API, didn't you? Audio source dot clip.
Oh, all I did since the Visual Studio is now linked and has a CS compiler or a C# compiler. Whenever you hover over top of a variable or a function name in the editor, for example, if you were to move your cursor over top of the clip.getData, if it can reference the API that it's calling, it will the tooltip box will tell you what the default variables for the function are. Yeah, so that's what I was looking at. So it tells you the return type of the function, and then the information for what parameters it expects. And audio, it's expecting an integer for the sample offset position instead of just an object. So
So what do I need to do to fix this?
I am not sure if we've got a game plan for that yet. I'm assuming that we would basically want to make an API call to like because right now we're using current update time and update step as our how we are iterating through the file. I think is that the rationale here?
Yeah, I apologize because in an ideal situation, we'd kind of be able to go through this code in a way that explains what's going on here. And part of the problem is I'm pretty intermediate with code myself. So there are people in this workshop right now who know code. Yeah, like Jesse, you're really being a big help right now.
Okay, I hope I'm not dominating conversation.
No, it's wonderful. I know that something needs to happen.
Okay.
With line 34, so it's like, okay, maybe we could try.
Because if you scroll up just a little bit, you can see that the audio source that we are passing in is not an int. Whenever we were defining our variables, that is an object class of type audio source. So there might be a different API call we can make to sort of make the source, the process of iterating through an audio source more elegant. But I mean, if we can just figure out what the length of the audio source is, store that in an int, and then just do like a for loop from beginning to end of the audio source, I think that'll get this code back up and running.
Yeah,
and
we can,
I'm not really sure what the what a typical best practice is for pulling audio data from an audio source object. So
Yeah, parsing this is, I should be able to explain what's going on as far as how are we examining the audio and how is the data getting put through this for loop, because there is a for loop in here. It says for each variable, sample, and clip sample data. We're kind of, yeah, iterating through this clip loudness.
Oh, you know what? Maybe then all we're really doing is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm thinking maybe what really needs to happen is we actually just need to put it in an offset of 0 to just point it to the start of the file. So just change audio source to 0. Because I don't think we actually need to do anything with an offset, but like if a
So I raised the audio source and put a 0 there. That's
yeah, take the one that's inside of the parentheses
here
and replace it with a 0, because basically that means, I think again, without really knowing what the API is actually doing in the back end, I think what's going on is basically it's like if you need to start from a different point within the file, you can have only load up a single audio file and then jump to a different starting offset based on.
Yeah, it's working now.
So,
and it disappeared. My object disappeared now.
Oh yeah,
it's working.
Useful to have like an offset or a coefficient for the scaling.
Yeah, what you can, yeah.
Yeah, it was just we tried sticking a variable where you just need to hard code it to the start of the file, I guess.
So should we all do that? Because when I played mine, my my object went out of the screen, and I don't know how to like restart that.
Probably becoming really small. Do you think that's what's going on? So
Yeah,
instead of
yeah, well, because the thing that is different for everyone is how you scaled your objects. So because the numbers returning between 0 and 1, for 1 being like maximum headroom on an audio file and 0 being minus infinity.
Yeah, exactly right.
If you made all of your objects really large by scaling them up whenever you drag them in, then the real world measurement for whatever you have in your scene is just everything is so much larger that whenever it's the size of the object is oscillating between 0 and 1, it if everything else in the scene is like 40 or 100 or whatever, it's still there. It's just really tiny, little dancing ants.
So if I can't find my object anymore, how do I like go back to that?
I'm guessing probably just click on in the hierarchy view.
And if you click on the play again after it disappears,
that's important.
It will go to the beginning of the sequence. So
yeah, once you press play, you'll need to press play again to stop the game from playing and for your object to kind of go back to its default size. And this is just getting familiar with Unity. So like if you press play and then you press pause, that'll also be a little different. You're going to want to press play again in order for it to stop what it's doing and go back to its default size. Yeah, so we're going over time. Sorry that we've kind of run into a lot of these obstacles. We can try adding another script that changes the color, or we can kind of address whatever problems you're running into right now. I just wanted to let you know that there's yet another script that we could potentially work with in this workshop. We just kind of have run over time.
Yeah, I think that the troubleshooting, live troubleshooting, all of the setups and dependency installations has been very beneficial. Because certainly I don't know that I would have tried some of these things that I wound up, on my own system. I also wanted to mention, I'm not sure, Akshata, if if it had helped whenever you installed .NET 5.0, but further down that page, if you're still getting that same little window that popped up saying that that the framework for 4.7.1 is not installed, you just scroll down a little bit further on the page to a section that says .NET Frameworks.
Wait,
that
I'm using
probably had help.
Sublime now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, because the default option is to just change the target to something that is installed. But I don't know if you wound up doing that instead of installing the 4.7.1 framework. But yeah, there you go. It's updating.
So I was just going in and changing the update step as it was playing, and I was starting to see a little bit of a difference there. So it's set to 0.1, which is more highly sensitive. And if I set it to like 0.5, it changes the scale of the object in a slower way. And yeah, I guess we were talking about how you can change your minimum size to not be 0, let's say 5 or 10. And then the size factor can also change that. So I'm just going to try this again. Oh. It became very, very big, I think. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so minimum size 1. Size factor.
I can't get, I'm still having like a little trouble with this like play and playback interface.
Yeah. So when you're pressing play and then it starts and you can hear the music and then you press play again and it'll just stop. It'll stop playing the music. It'll stop playing the scene. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to, so if I press play, okay.
Don't know. What does it mean when the pause is highlighted?
I think it just is going to kind of pause. It's going to basically pause the things in your scripts that are updating, I think. So your scene will still be playing. It'll still be open as something that you can play, but it's just kind of in stasis, I think, when you press pause. I don't use the pause button a lot, so I wish I might have to look up a more complete answer to that.
Rue, this is Julie speaking. Since we're coming up, over time and stuff, I'm wondering if we could shift from troubleshooting everyone's different independent issues and just kind of, I don't know if you were able to just demo us some of the stuff when it does. We can see.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like we could spend literally all day troubleshooting.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'll share some other functionality here. So we saw how my cube was bouncing around to the music. There's another option for me to, I have this other script, which is called something. Oh, what is the one that I want? Okay, so I'm gonna look, I need this audio loudness position script. I'm gonna drag it onto this cylinder. I'll get rid of this. Oh, yes, okay. So this is another script. It has a whole lot of other variables and functions going on in it, but for the sake of just speeding through this demonstration, I'll press play. And then the thing that I realized with the script is I actually need to change a couple things. What is it? No. Yes. So that's not exactly working the the way that I want it to, what I do is I select the color here first. Okay, I've got that. And then it's one of these numbers that I actually need to change. And I will find out what that is right now. It's the G float, maybe? No? Yeah, so we have some issues there. I'm just going to say these scripts aren't as amazing as they could be, and I could be exploiting them better. But the gist of it is that you'll change some of these R float integers, and then you change the size factor to be greater than 1, something more like 2, 3, or 4. And at that point, the color of the object will start responding to the music. And I've made sure to load my audio source in here. It's very important. And I don't actually have a game object assigned, but it still seems to be working. Yeah, there's a sort of ease of using these scripts that should be enhanced. They're not really where they should be, so I apologize. But this is sort of the gist of figuring out how to, write scripts in Unity and have them work appropriately. Was everyone able to kind of see that in action? I can kind of do it again.
What does the size factor do? Does it make it more sensitive or less sensitive to the audio?
Could you ask that again?
Oh, what does size factor do?
Size factor is a part of the script that is taking into account the data coming from the audio file. And yeah, it's incorporating it into the function. So if I open the script, so look up size factor. So we've got this float, and then it is multiplied and added to the clip loudness. So the loudness of the music, which is this data that's being analyzed, has also got a relationship to this float, this number.
I see. So
size factor.
So the bigger it is, the more sensitive the color change would be to the change in the sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll stop sharing for a sec. Yeah. So thanks all for sticking with me. I'll say I took a course. I'll type it in here. The course was called CS50, and it was offered through a website called EDX, but it's ostensibly like a recorded lecture done in Harvard, and it's all about learning how to program. And this course was really helpful for me to get more familiar with writing code and to understand what the heck is going on when I'm looking at a script. But I will say I'm still not yet at the point where I'm sort of teaching this material in the most comprehensive way. But yes, CS50. Oh. CS50 is the name of the course, and I think it's edx.org. Let me see. And it's free, so that's important. Yeah, so if you were to Google search CS50 edx.org, that's a really, really good resource if you have the time to dedicate toward, starting your journey into learning how to program. This will definitely help get you there, and it does use C as the sort of language that you're working with the problem sets, which is the same language we're using right here. But yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
For that first clip or first script that we were using, it seems like it's moving my object away, not like scaling it.
Huh.
Like completely
Okay.
goes off the screen.
Okay.
Let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
Have you tried like changing the values of the minimum and maximum? Because
Yeah, I
maybe
think so.
it's just making it so small that you cannot see it anymore.
Yeah, I changed the minimum to 10 instead of 0.
See the scale that your original object is. Because for instance, my original object was like 5,000, so I needed, yeah, yours is 900 something. As you can see, scale X, Y, and Z, it's 905 dot something. So you needed to be like more closer to that value, I think.
Oh, okay. So if
The
I
minimum,
like,
I mean.
so if
Yeah.
I kind of
Make it like 900 the minimum or something. And for me, the problem was that after scaling it, it wouldn't change according to the music. But that probably has to do with that problem that I had to put the 0.
see.
I don't know.
Now it's not moving at all.
Yeah, that's because it was making it very small, and now it's not able to read the music, so it's not moving. It's just the first value, it's just too small and it disappears. And after that, it's not scaling it back up because it's not, it's weird. I don't know.
Oh, okay, now.
Oh, and it just did it once, huh? Okay.
Is it because my step
Yeah,
is only
that
one?
was the same problem I was having. It just changed once and then not changed back
Okay.
anything.
So it's getting stuck somewhere in the update.
I think it's because of the size of sample data length.
Okay.
1024 is more like the size of like a sampling for like an FFT window for doing something like if you're doing like frequency-based response to stuff. But that's a really short amount of time. Whenever you consider that audio usually runs at like 44,000 samples per second.
So should we try changing it?
Maybe the sample data length needs to be calculated by making an API call to get the actual length of whatever sample's being thrown into it. That's because I thought that was like a window length, but if you made it like, I don't know, like 100,000, that might you should see it move for at least a second or two then.
Okay.
So, and I really do mean 100,000. I don't know if that was 100,000 or 10,000. I couldn't see very well, but
still doing it like once.
Yeah, still having the same problem.
The so just think, well, yeah, it is 10,000 for the sample data length. So that's like a quarter of a second, and the update step is a half a second. So it's only reading, a quarter of a second of audio, and yeah, I don't. Let's see what that does. Huh. Yeah, again, the sample data length is so short. We made it. I mean, it's the 10,000 is only a quarter of a second. So, yeah, 100,000 would at least give you like 2 seconds of audio playback. I mean, probably all of these things are long enough that you could even throw another 0 on it without worrying too much. So, yeah, I'm not.
And you're hearing your music?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's getting stuck. So it looks like what it's doing, it's kind of making an adjustment, and then instead of continuing to go through the loop, it's not doing that. That's what it seems like. what's happening. So if I were to look at your script, maybe I would be able to pick up on something. Yeah. Are you getting any compilers in the console of Unity?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, the other thing that I was wondering about, because I saw that that whenever we were looking at Ruth's screen, that some of the fields underneath of the script in the inspector were automatically updating, like clip loudness, and I'm just wondering what those numbers look like whenever you play it. I wasn't looking at that before.
Yeah, I feel like that one changes with the, like, as the clip is playing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is supposed to be changing. No, you're right. You're right. Let me look at that and double check, but I do believe you're onto something.
Oh, so it wasn't changing when I just played this?
I don't think it was, but I wasn't looking at the inspector while it was playing. I was trying to see if the object was moving. So
yeah, this is an essential clue. Yes, you will have
it clamps onto loudness of 100, and then it doesn't do anything else. So I think the loudness, I think that having the minimum size above 1, I think you do have to leave that between the range of 0 and 1. But so I think maybe what needs to happen is that minimum size should be 0, max size should be 1, and then size factor should be roughly equivalent to what your scale value is on your object up above in the inspector. And I'm just kind of guessing here. So, and again, right now it's only going to oscillate between 0 and 1 if you play it.
Oh, I see it's working now. Good.
Yeah, so the number is updating. So that's okay. So I guess the size factor is like sort of like the coefficient for scaling how how large the object should get. So that's why I'm saying that size factor should be sort of somewhere in the roughly the scale of the object. So it looks like yours is around 900. So if you take size factor and change that to change that to 900. I think that keeping the min and max size between 0 and 1, those seem more like they should be private variables that are just sort of used to scale the or to limit the audio input. But
it's still there. It's just so small.
Yeah, because clip loudness is only showing at like around 40. So I think that. Well, okay, so if it's going between 0 and 1, yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that, but I think it's just going to be a matter of tweaking those numbers and seeing.
Try making size factor. You can do this right now, just making it like 2000. Okay.
Oh, you can live update it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so like let's do a little review. So so the minimum size and the maximum size is dependent on the actual scale of the object.
No, those numbers don't really care or look at the scale of your object, but
so like I'm trying to like relate it to like the size to see like how it's behaving in a way.
Yeah, I'm glad we're figuring this out together. I do think it, like Jesse said, it's important to keep your minimum size the way it is right now. Like 2 seems to be fine. The script didn't seem to work when that minimum size was a much larger number. So instead what we do is we change that size factor number. And it seems like if you make it high enough or big enough, it will actually work with this object, which has such a big scale. So if you change size factor to 4,000, maybe at that point it would be doing the math correctly to show these fluctuations in a way that's like visible.
Yeah, Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's working.
Yeah. And the update step is, you know, if you made the update step 0.1 or 0.2, it will like be a little more responsive looking, but it might also be harder on your computer to process that.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
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 Throw another 0 on size factor, and that way it'll be, you know, because the numbers that were coming out of clip loudness, which I think directly translates to the new scale amount for the object. I think that because it was like showing up in the hundreds, but if you throw another 0 on size factor, then you should see numbers that are, you know, oscillating around 1,000 instead. So change size factor like 40,000.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Wait.
I also
It
that
stopped.
yeah
Wait,
that
do the, oh, go ahead. Because I was experiencing the same thing. All this has helped, but the update step, when I did 0.1 instead of 0.5, I got a better result out of it
Okay.
too.
yeah. And it looks like some problem is happening where it just stops assessing the number that changes is clip loudness. Okay, so it's assessing the clip, oh, and then it stops at 1,000.
Stops at 1,000.
So something's happening with this math that's causing it to just stop.
Or do I need to increase my max size?
So you changed that size factor to 40,000, and I don't know that that worked afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, change that back. I'm sorry if you're throwing
That's
that out
okay.
there.
We're all trying.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if, since it did stop at 1,000, would this be something, because this is really close to that value.
Yeah, you might even make the max size bigger. Okay, it's assessing the clip loudness. Looks like it's working. It's just pretty small. You might change the max size, maybe to a bigger value.
To what?
Change the max size to 4,000, 6,000. It's jiggling. Yeah, it's like tweaking, I guess, is sort of what we're doing here.
But
yeah,
it's
I
not
guess,
stopping anymore, which is good.
yeah. I guess we'll work towards wrapping up. It's kind of hard to get too deep with Unity in such a short amount of time, but we've done okay. We've scratched the surface. We've seen a little bit of what's possible, and just know that like this is a way of doing audio reactivity where you're loading audio files into Unity, and it's kind of reading through various data parts of that audio file. The way that I've also done this in my personal projects with doing audio reactivity in a scene is I've fed in different types of data from different programs. Like I've used Ableton, and then, like I said, I had the Max for Live tools in Ableton that were able to send different types of data to Unity. And that was just, that was a helpful alternative. There's different data types you can work with. Thanks, John. Yeah.
Do you have any resources for like connecting Max? Max, I have Max 8, and I don't have Ableton, but I've been thinking about just starting a trial because I want to do this and like really get into the parameters of the sound and like have it affect like different factors of the form.
So for example, I don't exactly use Max by itself, Max MSP, but if you have ways of assigning different values to like a song, for example, or maybe automating different values over time, that's another thing to think about. You can change, you can use OSC data tools. And basically within Max MSP, you'll have your OSC data set up in a certain way where it's being recognized, and there's like a specific address maybe for that OSC parameter. And then you'll send the OSC data from Max MSP over to Unity. And so that's a whole other thing to figure out. Okay. And then within Unity, you'll have things set up to receive that OSC data and decide what to do with it. So as far as specific resources for Max MSP, I'm not sure at this point, but there's always I always default to watching tutorials on YouTube if anyone's posted those. Because yeah, there's a lot of resources there. I definitely admire your passion for continuing down this audio reactivity. Yeah, these ideas that you have. So if you want to reach out to me in the future, definitely do that. And
Okay. Do you have like an email or something?
yeah, let me just
Preferred
put it in
method of
here.
contact.
I got those emails from me already, but I'll put this in here.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
same goes for everyone else. Thank you for
Okay.
attending, and you can reach out to me.
I'm going to keep your contact because
Yeah.
I'm also going to keep working on this a bit. So
Yeah.
And it was nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, thanks.
Thank you so much for coming.
Cheers.
Good luck with your future explorations.
Yeah,
Yes.
you as well. And thank you, Jesse. You were
Yes.
really
Yes.
helpful.
Jesse
Ruby's
knows
little
how to
PA.
code.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye, Julie. Bye, Thomas.
Do you have a Facebook, Jesse? I'll probably add you so I can
I
ask
literally
you
haven't
things.
been on mine in like 10 months. So, and I've also just last week stopped looking at Instagram, but you're certainly welcome to find me on either platform. I think if you just search my name, you should be able to find me.
Okay, for
So,
sure.
I'll add you as well.
Yeah, go for it. Like I said, I have no idea when exactly I'm going to start looking at my Facebook again. If you send me a private message, I'm more likely to respond to that than anything newsfeed based.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.